You have the most powerful piece of hardware in the universe sitting right between your ears. But here's the thing, it didn't come with an owner's manual. Well, in this explainer, we're going to fix that. So if you're anything like me, you've probably spent a ton of time trying to upgrade your mental software, right? Reading all the self-help books, maybe trying meditation, really working on your mindset. But what if we're all starting in completely the wrong place?
What if we've been missing something super fundamental? Neurologist Dr. Sid Warrior has this idea that to get real, lasting results, we need to stop obsessing over the software and start by checking the physical hardware it all runs on.
Okay, so this whole hardware versus software idea, this is probably the single most important concept we're going to talk about. Getting this is the key to genuinely improving your mental state. Think of it like this. The hardware is your actual physical brain, the neurons, the synapses, all the biological machinery. The software, that's your mind. It's your thoughts, your emotions, and all the stories your brain makes up to try and make sense of the world. And this, right here, is where so many of us get stuck. We're trying to run the latest, most advanced software on hardware that's just sputtering and slow. And let's be real, no amount of positive thinking is going to run well on a system that's physically neglected. So, if our brain really is this high-performance machine, what's the maintenance routine? Well, it turns out there are a few things that are absolutely non-negotiable. And you know what? It's not that complicated. The 3 pillars for keeping your hardware in peak condition are consistent, high-quality sleep, a proper diet, and regular physical exercise. Seriously, these aren't luxuries. They are absolute requirements. Let's just zoom in on sleep for a second. While you're sleeping, your brain isn't just off. It's actually running this incredible cleanup process managed by something called the glymphatic system. You can think of it as the brain's dedicated garbage disposal crew. Now, Dr. Warrior puts this very bluntly, but the science completely backs him up. Without this nightly cleanup, all these toxic byproducts accumulate in the brain. And that process, it's directly linked to devastating conditions like Alzheimer's. Okay, so that's maintenance. Now we get to the really exciting part, how to actively upgrade your hardware. And we do this through this incredible process called neuroplasticity. Your brain has over 1 trillion connections. 1 trillion! The unique pattern of all those connections is what makes you, you. But the most amazing part isn't the number. It's the fact that you actually have the power to change them. And this ability is what we call neuroplasticity. To put it simply, it's just your brain's capacity to learn and adapt by physically changing its own wiring based on what you do, what you think, and what you experience. So how do you actually use this? Well, creating a new habit or learning a new skill is basically a 2-step process. First, you do the thing. You go for the run, you practice the guitar, that lays the initial groundwork. But then comes the second and most crucial step. You have to let that new pathway solidify. And this is just such a brilliant insight into why rest is so critical. The actual rewiring, the part where new habits get stronger, that doesn't happen when you're grinding. It happens when your brain is offline, during periods of deep rest and sleep.
But look, if we want to rewire our brain effectively, there's this one powerful, really primitive system that we have to get a handle on first, our reward system.
Our brains are just hardwired to seek pleasure through a chemical called dopamine. It's that feel-good chemical that gets released whenever we do something that historically helped us survive, like finding high-calorie food or getting approval from our tribe. Now, here's the problem. Our Stone Age brain has not caught up with the modern world. Today, we are surrounded by what you could call super stimuli. These cheap, easy dopamine hits that are available 24/7, hijacking that ancient survival circuit for things that don't really help us thrive. But we have a secret weapon. It's the most evolved part of our brain, the prefrontal cortex. This is our CEO, our executive function. It's the part that allows us to hit pause, think long-term, and consciously override those primitive urges. Just think about that for a second. Every single time you say no to that cheap instant pleasure and you choose a long-term goal instead, you are literally exercising and strengthening your prefrontal cortex. You are physically evolving your brain beyond its default programming. So what happens when you put all this stuff together? You maintain your hardware, you actively rewire your circuits, and you learn to take control of your impulses. You build something we can call mental fitness. And mental fitness, it's not just about feeling good. It's the measurable ability, the resilience of your brain to withstand challenges because you've actually prepared it,
kind of like you'd prepare your muscles for a heavy lift at the gym.
And this might be the most crucial point of all. Life is always going to have challenges and setbacks. A mentally fit brain isn't one that avoids those things. It's one that has the reserve, the strength, and the wiring to recover faster and come back even stronger.
So the big takeaway is this. You are not just a passenger along for the ride. You are the engineer of your own brain. You have the owner's manual now. So the only real question left is, what are you going to build with it?